Today is my 56th birthday, and in some ways I would also consider it my third birthday of sorts. 56 years ago I was born. 3 years ago I had an injury or an accident that resulted in an injury that was life-changing and in some ways marked a restart point in my life, you could say. September is, in addition to my birthday month, it's also National Spinal Cord Injury Month. And in the name of raising awareness, I just wanted to share my story a little bit and maybe share a few facts and other things over the course of the month to come. 3 years ago, I was using a 5-gallon bucket as a stepping stool, and it slipped out from under me. Seems like a pretty simple accident. Should have been, I would think. But as luck or bad luck would have it, I landed in just such a way. You could tell by the bruising on my back, and literally my entire back from shoulders to waist was bruised in the form or shape of a bucket. So you could tell that I had landed on the bucket. I went up in the air, it went down, I landed on top of it. You can see the handle bruised in and the rim of the bucket across my low back, and unfortunately the bottom of the bucket, the part that's hard and inflexible, was right across my shoulders. Because essentially what happened is my body stopped on impact, but with no support behind it. My head kept going, and it snapped my neck at C5 and C7. I immediately knew something was wrong, horribly wrong. I can't even put into words how it felt. It was almost primally wrong. I'm sure in retrospect I was in shock. But actually I got up and I walked away from it. Sort of. I hobbled away. I was convinced that I had thrown my low back out. I mean, the bruising and the swelling, it was obvious that, there was some healing to go on there, and that I was just going to give it a little time and I'd walk it off and things would get better. Unfortunately, things did not get better. My equilibrium just got worse and worse. The weakness in my legs got worse and worse. Endurance, I just couldn't go anymore. I was done. Tanya and I were at the grocery store the night before I finally went in to get looked at, and I was using the cart, and I was just totally leaning over the thing, using it to try to get around, just stubborn that I was going to go about life as normal. And when we got out the door, the parking lot had just a slight grade to it, and the cart took off and took me with it and down on my knees, and there's nothing I could do about it. It just pulled me right on down. And that was the final straw when, this isn't going to get better. This isn't going to get better at all. I went in and I first got CAT scanned, and they sent me immediately to the emergency room for MRIs. MRIs were done. Several hours later, I was consulted with a neurosurgeon, being advised not to leave the hospital until surgery could be planned and executed. The MRIs, what they showed was that the C5 and C7 vertebrae in my neck had been pushed into the spinal cord, so they were pinching the spinal cord off, and that's causing some problems, obviously. The other issue that showed up on the MRIs was bruising between C5 and C7. So C5 and C7 were fairly heavily bruised, C6 bruised in between them. When I heard that, and talking to the neurosurgeon at the time about the fact that the spinal column, the bones of the spine, were going to have to be surgically repaired, I thought, oh man, that's big. That's a big deal. Then he went on to tell me that he felt that the reason I was having the mobility issues, the equilibrium issues, and all the other feelings of just unease and poor health was because of a bruise that was on my spinal cord as a result of the impact that those vertebrae had when they were pushed into the spinal cord. When I heard that, my first thought was, what a relief that is. I mean, I've had bruises and they go away in a couple, 3 weeks. You're good to go. You never even know you had them, right? My neurosurgeon, he had to educate me right away that the bone repair, the repair of the spinal column itself, wasn't actually the hard thing here, or the tough thing. That's a mechanical repair. The hardware and the cement and the grafting heals up in 12 to 16 weeks, and arguably you end up with something stronger than the original. The muscles, when they cut me in the back of the neck, cut muscles away from the spine, and the attachments really aren't there anymore. So that's been a struggle to get those muscles back, and they'll never be what they were, just because, like I say, the attachments for the muscles just aren't the same, and they're not attached, essentially. The bruise on the spinal cord was going to be the long-term problem. Unfortunately, the spinal cord has essentially no ability to heal itself. So a bruise on the spinal cord today is a bruise on the spinal cord for life. And any communication that goes between the brain and the body through that part of the spinal cord is going to be blocked or partially blocked or altered or distorted, is maybe the best word I come up with, by that lesion on the spinal cord, really from that day forward. So I was left with some deficits, but I was also left with a lot to work with, plenty to work with, as well as the desire to do the work, and the ability to do the work. And I've been able to overcome quite a bit and adapt to quite a bit. In some ways, I'd say maybe in some ways, I may be better off than I was before the injury. Not that I wouldn't take it back in a half a second if you gave me the chance. All of the growth and things that have come from it aside, I'd take it back in less than half a second if you gave me the chance. Someone asked me a while back, are you 100% again? And the only way I could answer was, I am, but it's a different 100%. I hope you don't mind if I spend the next weeks sharing a little bit about spinal cord injuries and sharing a little bit about my story and my situation. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.